further away that time.
Glenn, could I ask for a minute silence for Ukraine tonight at this meeting, please?
I was about to start with that, actually.
Right.
Right, okay, so. Welcome to the Town and Community Committee meeting on Tuesday, the 1st of March. I'd like to start this meeting with a minute's silence for the people of Ukraine who are suffering terribly under the current war. Thank you very much. Glory to Ukraine. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. No?
I don't believe we've received any
I'm
apologies.
sending you for Councillor Hamilton.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. See none. Agenda item 3, public participation. See none. Agenda item 4, minutes. To approve the minutes of the Town and Community Committee meeting held on the 18th of January 2022. To note the minutes of the event subcommittee on the 4th of February 2022. In favour?
Yeah.
Agenda item 5, Town Centre Manager update. Receive an update from Town Centre Manager.
So this was a verbal update, but unfortunately the town centre manager is no longer with us. So, so there's nothing on this item.
Okay. Very much. Agenda item 6, Communication Manager update. To receive and to note an update from the Communications Manager. Okay.
Can we have a quick update on the Country Golf and the marketing of it? Now, the appropriate time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Certainly. I'm more than happy to. So the Adventure Golf Course is progressing well. The contractors are hoping to be able to complete by a week beginning the 14th of March. The website is almost there and ready to go live. There is a holding page at the moment. If you go to henleyadventuregolf.co.uk, where you can sign up for updates. Broadly speaking, all the marketing is going well, and there will be a big push on it from the week after this. So a week beginning 14th, there will be a big push on the marketing campaign.
Thank you. Anybody else? Agenda item 7, finances 2021-22, to note the management accounts to the end of January 2022. Anybody have anything to say? No, move on. Agenda item 8, Queen's Platinum Jubilee. To receive and consider a report on the proposals for celebrating Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Mark.
Thank you very much. So this report has been generated following the last events subcommittee meeting. There are a couple of amendments to the report and recommendations that I'd like to raise now, if possible. One of the suggestions was that a gift was given to primary school children in Henley to celebrate the Jubilee. And 3 possible options were given: a coin, a bookmark, or a mug. Since then, a further suggestion has been made. As part of the Jubilee celebrations, there is a scheme called the Queen's Green Canopy, which is promoting tree planting throughout the UK as part of the Jubilee celebrations. And a suggestion has been from our Parks Department that instead of giving something like a coin or a bookmark, instead what would be offered is a sapling to primary school children, along with information on how to nurture it and how to plant it, so they can be planted either at the school or in gardens or elsewhere, to help towards the Queen's Green Canopy scheme, to also help with education around the topic. Obviously, it also contributes towards the climate emergency declaration of the council as well. We're still getting costings for this, but rough estimates would probably be in the region of about £2,000 in total, which would be less than it would be for say, mugs or coins, for example. So this is just another suggestion that's been brought forward, although it's received support from officers in the council, both in the town community team and parks and elsewhere. But I don't believe it's been discussed by councillors at all at this point.
Right, Madam Mayor and Councillor Eggleton, Hinton and Hilliard.
Yeah, the coins in the pouch are quite costly, and I can understand, and I think the planting of trees for children is a lovely idea, but for as long as I can remember, Jubilees, we've always had a coin. I mean, going back to the 70s, we had a coin.
Yeah.
That was the last one. Before that, there was we had coins.
Last one.
Yeah.
We had a bell
Okay.
yeah. Queen mother.
And I just think it's a really nice kind of memento for children to have that coin. I think our Queen, bless her, isn't going to be here for much longer, and I think this would be. I know it's a lot of money, and I'm sure the finance chair is sitting here going, no. But I would like us to consider the coins but ask to get some sponsorship perhaps for the pouch. So if we could ask a Henley company whether or not they want to contribute perhaps by sponsoring the pouch that the coin goes in. I think the tree idea, plant the tree for Queen's Green Canopy is fantastic. Can we not do that as well? That's all I have to say.
Councillor Eggleton.
That's the same. I was going on the same thoughts, going on the tree side of it. That happened, I think, in the 70s, where we planted a tree. All the young children planted a tree. But the only way that would work is a good thing to do, and a good thing for the young to get involved. But I think the only way that would work is if someone gave us a couple of acres of land that you can go to that piece of land, pick up a tree and then plant it in situ. So you create a whole woodland of that thing, and that then becomes that shrine for the Queen for that particular thing, rather than do it individually. I think that would work much better and much easier to organise if someone gave up some land for planting. That would be a better way of doing it. we can do that anyway, either now or with the Queen thing, or later on, add that to it. But either a coin, mug, I think it's very important to have that and carry on doing that. I know it's going to cost, it's quite a costly thing, but if you had a mug that you could have the town crest on it on one side and then having the Queen's thing on the side, so it's the council giving something to the people of Henley.
Councillor Hinton.
Just everything on. So first of all, the events that we discussed on the events committee, I think are perfect. I think it's a great celebration of the Queen's Jubilee, and I'm really pleased to see that this town council are doing something. With the mementos, I was going to suggest, I say all the time that Henley and Bloom isn't just about planting, and it's actually the Civic Pride Committee, which I think this falls under quite nicely. And I was going to suggest that either the Bloom Committee consider it, or I know that the town clerk, well, it would have been the town centre manager, but in the absence of a TCM, the town clerk has delegated powers relating to the budget. So I don't know if it does need a committee approval, or just perhaps a nudge to the committee, see what they think, and maybe consultation with the chair. So I was going to suggest that anyway. However, then this other proposals come forward, and so I think if we could do the tree planting, which fits in very nicely with Bloom as well. I think Dave's got a point. You need an area. I think just giving people a sapling might be difficult, although a lot of people in Henley have gardens compared to, say, primary schools in other locations. There is still a considerable amount of children in Henley that don't have direct access to a private garden, and may not be able to plant in schools. As we know, they've had many planning issues over the years trying to expand and so on. And some of the things that have stopped them have been the TPOs around them. So I don't know. I think that would be great if we had a set area, but I fully support spending the up to 10,000 on the Queen's Jubilee. I think it's important that we do so, and I agree with spending money from the Bloom, or asking Bloom to spend money from the budget for the tree planting, which I think just ticks both boxes of conservation, of all of that sort of stuff, but as well the civic pride.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to support a personal memento for each child, because I think that's important. It's something they've always had and they will keep that forever. But I do support tree planting, but I was thinking on the lines of one small tree at each school with a commemorative plaque that we could give the money to. So there's just one particular small species of tree at each school with the plaque that was planted for the Platinum Jubilee.
Councillor Hooper, then Rice.
I think Lorraine's idea is a good one, that each school has a tree with a plaque on it. But also, Kay would probably know this one more than anyone else. Is there a space down at Mill Meadows, down the meadows, where there could be an area for this copse of trees?
I don't think that for 1,050 trees, no. For a few trees, I think that parks could manage it, but for that
I just wanted to right around the boundary or something.
I'm not sure how many acres you'd need for 1,000.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying.
But yeah,
it could even like be a hedge.
we may be able to find the.
Like a hedge in the name of the, something like this. That would be there, that people would say, well, this hedge was planted, i.e. just something that, that there's going to be there for yonks, when we're even pushing up daisies, you know what I mean?
Professor Rice, then
Stefan wants to go first.
okay,
I like the idea of the of planting trees for a number of reasons. Firstly, it fits in with, as Councillor Hinton was saying, it fits in with our Henley and Bloom agenda. Secondly, it fits in with our climate change emergency declaration and biodiversity. And lastly, it's much more of an interactive and engaged activity, or gift, if you like, for the children of the town, where they're actually involved in taking the plant, the tree, deciding where to plant it, and and therefore they are more involved rather than just being a passive recipient of a coin, which I'm afraid not all children do value. And in my experience, they tend to get thrown into a corner very often and forgotten about and then discarded. And I regard it mostly as a waste of money. I would be prepared to, if the scheme for those who wanted to apply, but who really wanted one, we could do a few hundred and let the first, or 100 or so, and let the first few applicants receive it. I don't think we'd receive 100 applications. I just don't think it's something that would make a difference. One location that hasn't been mentioned for the trees would be Gillett's Field. For the millennium, we planted 2,000 trees there. And we wouldn't have to plant 1,000 in any case. People could choose to plant them in their garden or at their school, and we could make an area of Gillett's available for some extra planting, where it would fit in and I think be very suitable. So I'm happy to go ahead with investigating the sum of about £2,000 for the Queen's canopy, Queen canopy. But so I don't think the coins are a worthwhile use of taxpayers' money.
Okay. Councillor Thomas.
Why don't we just ask the schools what they'd like us to do? I think if we approached all of the heads, I'm sure, and perhaps the chair of governors, I'm sure that they would, and the parents' associations, I'm sure that they'd be willing to give us their feedback pretty quickly. So I don't know what anyone thinks to that idea. I'm in favour of both, actually. Personally, I'm in favour of the coin, and I'm in favour of Councillor Hillier's idea of planting a tree, one at each school. I think that would be very well received as well. But I think we just ask the schools. It's very simple to do. On the events, because I don't sit on events and because I'm not very experienced from, in events, I was just a bit confused about the order of the events. We've got a concentration of the Mill Meadows events taking place over 2 days, and one of the days actually clashes with the day when we're trying to get people to celebrate in their own streets. And I'm just wondering if on that Sunday we should just have people, doing their own. Nikki, you've got your hand up. You're going to.
I was going to say that one on the Saturday before. It's basically down at Mill Meadows. Is band already booked? There is already band playing on the bandstand. So it was just a case of we've already got bands playing down there.
Yeah.
Do we want to add to the band already playing down there? And the pubs and restaurants. Craig went out and spoke to them all and see if they'd be interested in what they want to do for that weekend. He said they'd be happy to have their tables and chairs out and maybe just put a bit of extra on out there to decorate their areas and stuff like that. So our concentration would be the Sunday, but it's just already the band already booked for the
Yeah, but the Sunday's the big lunch.
Yeah.
So why would we have a big lunch down at Mill Meadows when we're trying to get people out in their own streets?
Because it's people that can't, if people don't have a street, that they can have a street, because not all streets will take part in a street party. So
yeah, but all of the people in the marketplace, well, why don't they want to close their own streets around here?
Then the marketplace is for seating licences. In the marketplace, it will just be the people, the restaurants and the pubs that have got the licences to be out there. The marketplace will just be them doing out there, putting a bit of bunting up around their tables and chairs.
So you want all the people who don't have, because they live on public roads or whatever, they're all going to go down to Mill Meadows.
Well, if they want to, if they're looking for something to do to celebrate the Jubilee, they can come down to Mill Meadows, where we'll have the Joneses have already got their small, they have their rides and stuff like that. We're going to encourage them to get all their rides out. There's already, so you have the road museum, you've got the golf will be open, we've got our areas.
And you're going to split that over 2 days?
No, that's on the Sunday. We're going to do. The Saturday is literally just having some additional music to the bandstand that's already down there.
Okay.
The Sunday would be when we'd get some food vendors or people like that down there, encourage the Jones to come out with all their equipment, get the PRs, to be selling their food, making some face painting.
Now I'm going to have to be in 2 places at once.
But that's just for people. The theory was it because a lot of people don't actually have a street that will close. A lot of people are lucky they do have streets that will take part.
Normally,
don't.
I mean, from my experience, we've had 2 on our road and people come up from, you know, and join other people around the town. Would be Queen Street, Friday Street, you know, they always have friends and family in these other streets.
But it's just a thought, obviously, it's down to, it's just a.
Yeah.
Councillor Hinton, did you want to speak again?
Yeah, would it please the Chair of Finance if the Bloom Civic Pride Committee paid for the memento and the Town and Community Committee paid for the trees? It may be slightly less expensive. That was sort of tongue in cheek, but also semi-serious. But also I am slightly concerned about the level of work that is going to go into this. We've discussed these events. I'm fully on board with all of them. They are in line with the events that are going on nationally. Is the beacon on here?
Yes, on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, I'm excited about all of it, but I am slightly concerned about the workload, and it would be really good to have some councillors signing up to maybe even just one of the events to help with the manpower. Similar to we have at the Christmas festival, but unfortunately it's the same few councillors every time, and I don't know if we'll just be able to do the whole week. So it would be really good to see. We haven't got a town centre manager at the moment. We have got these big events. It is very important to the town, I believe, and I think that councillors should step up to the plate.
Councillor Eggleston.
Just a quick, Nick, is chair, Beacon night, is, I'm still waiting for Gainsborough, whether we're actually doing something prior to that. No one's been in touch with me about the Beacon, or is it, or do I need to speak to Public Services to just
No,
get to check that?
I'm speaking to the guys to get it checked, and then obviously if you're happy to light it as
Yeah.
well done in the past.
Yeah.
then obviously work. We did have a bugler to kind of do the bugle, but unfortunately he was offered a week's work, and our hours work that we could offer him for that evening, was a week's work somewhere else, which is understandable. We have got a town crier on standby that's ready to do the declaration, to read the declaration during the day, to say that because it's not standard what's happening, and then obviously to say that bugler will play in Majesty. We're just trying to find a bugler again at the moment.
We asked the Henry Stanley if they know.
Yeah, we was going to approach the press to see if they put something out.
And just the last thing is going back on Ian's, Ian Reisman's saying about if that was possible to put trees up there. Obviously, some people are going to put trees in their gardens and in schools and things like that. And then the over is the children that want to get involved in a planting project, and we could do it in the Billets Field. I think that I think we should do that anyway. As a matter of course with climate change and everything, but use it as the Jubilee thing. And if the quantity is going to be too much, then I would say, like I said before, doing mugs with the town crest on it, so it shows that we've done something as a town council.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, the bugler, if somebody speaks to the commanding officer around the cadet centre, they can arrange to get one from the rifle band in Oxford.
The army cadets.
Can you speak to the commanding officer down there? She'll be in contact with the band in Oxford, and they would supply you with a bugler.
Sea cadets.
Or sea cadets.
The sea cadets also, they've got their same.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I was just going to say actually the army cadets, Mel, I think, Lena's got all the details. Yeah, they'll also help out as well. Very quickly, I was just going to say, I think we should investigate Councillor Thomas's idea about asking the schools about the, let's not assume that every kid wants to see a tree grow, and let's not assume that every kid wants, a coin. But if we're paying for it, it's only fair, I think, that we ask perhaps the teachers and just see what they think. Mugs, I like mugs, but they tend to fade. People put them in dishwashers, and then I think a coin. I also like that if we can get some kind of sponsor, but that that's we don't have a town centre manager, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, investigate. Councillor Thomas's idea.
If we wait, that's another 6-week cycle. That's then mid-April. Are we going to be able to order anything by then? You know, is that too late?
It would be preferable to obviously progress it as soon as possible. However, if the committee was happy with that approach to basically ask the schools and to see what the general consensus is and to go with that, then the resolution could be along those lines, so that it is approving it approving both or either subject to feedback from the schools, and we as officers can then take it from there. I'll be happy with that.
Councillor Rice.
I'll just go to answer Councillor Hinton's point about the source of funding. I don't mind whether the town council funds this or Henley and Bloom itself. It's all the sort of money that comes. I should be careful to say here, because I know Councillor Hinton's very protective about the Henley and Bloom separate budget. But it's all money that belongs essentially to the council taxpayers and residents of Henley. And so where it comes from, it isn't so important. My view is that we're better off spending our money on something which is valued and absorbs carbon dioxide rather than uses carbon dioxide to manufacture it and has little use.
That's it.
Just to quickly on Councillor Hinton's point about, you know, the running it and everything, manpower. We really need to ask for some volunteers. The problem is some of us are working and we can't do it. We can do it like at the end of the day, but we can't physically be there during the day. So if we can perhaps put a call out for volunteers to help the town council with these events, I'm sure there's quite a few people that would want to come along and lend a hand. And, you know, we can organise it from within the council, you know, where the help is needed. But I do think we need that help, don't we? That additional help.
Social media, maybe.
Sorry, Bridget. Really, I mean, the Thursday, obviously, Charity Market doesn't need any support whatsoever because that would just be them. The town crier will just come along during the day, so you won't need anything like that. The bugler, obviously, possibly in the evening, but having a legend of a beacon. I hope there'll be a couple of councillors present with that. I mean, I don't know how many people would come to that one. The window competition, Dave Rogers Sharp, he's going to be organising that. So that wouldn't need anything. Jubilee colouring competition is going through any standard, so that wouldn't need any input. On the Saturday, the pubs and restaurants in the marketplace will need no input because that's just literally them having their tables and chairs out. Bands down at Mill Meadows, the band's down there anyway, so it's not something we're actually doing an event. It's just music on. It's just the Sunday would be the one, obviously, if anyone's free on Sunday, then obviously, I think it's something like between 12 and 6, something like that would be the one that we need.
On the beacon, right?
Just one other thing.
Yeah, that's Hamilton, then Clark.
I think it was, when was the last time? We had a thing in the marketplace. We had a gazebo, I think you might have been there, Glenn, where they were giving out flags and doing Prosecco and other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Would that not be, could we not do that? Just giving out flags and stuff to people that are around the town on that day? Just setting up.
Organised through Henley Business Partnership.
Was that?
They organised and paid for that because they had someone, quite an organisation, and had something to do with the elderly. They don't actually have that because I don't have contacted them about it.
Okay.
They don't have that association with it anymore. That's why they're not doing anything this year.
Okay.
Councillor Clark.
Would it be worth asking the army cadets to volunteer? Because when my brother used to run it down there, they used to do these all shows and they asked them to be car park attendants, walk around and clear the litter up afterwards. They give them a small donation for their day's work. That might,
We've got the kind of scouts.
yeah. As I say, the cadets are 15, 16, 17-year-old boys and girls.
Right, lots of good ideas. Would anybody like to make a proposal? Councillor Hamilton.
I'd like to propose that we plant a tree. They do definitely plant trees. And either Collins or Lugs, whichever is like showing said what comes back from, like Michelle said, what comes back from the schools, then to be implemented by Sheridan on the report coming back, because obviously we ain't going to be able to come back to this meeting in time to order the stuff. So if it was, I'm sure if you're happy with that, Sheridan.
I think what we should probably do is take these items one at a time, maybe. because there's quite multiple
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
we're
yeah.
discussing here. So should we just vote first on 5.1 little I, which is to approve the events listed in item 3.2.
Yeah.
Second, okay. All those in favour? Carried. Okay. Now, do we want to ask the schools then about the gift first? I think that makes sense.
Yes.
Um,
The gift plus would they like a sapling for each child, which would be quite difficult, I think, because of the space that would be needed potentially. But I think my preference, I think, would be to go with Councillor Hillier's idea, and it's one sapling per school, perhaps with a plaque. See how they react to those two suggestions. That's the primaries, and all of the primaries, both state and private, and Gillett's.
Okay, so is the proposal is to write to the school and ask what they would like to do with those options?
Yeah, I think so.
We could ask them to respond by March the 22nd, which is full council, at which point we can make a decision then rather than wait for a meeting of this committee. I mean, I'm not saying this committee isn't suitable for deciding it, just time is the time factor, it does matter.
Okay.
I mean, I really like all of them, but we can't have every single one of them. You have to pick one, I think, but in terms of the budget, having 4,263 plus 3,832, I think would blow the budget in one go.
Well, I think the tree planting is most important in the present climate.
Yeah, definitely. So 4,263 potentially plus up to 2K for the, well, it won't be 2K for the trees, will it? But I think, in terms of those first three that were actually proposed by the officer, I think the preference is to go with the coin out of those three, but definitely a yes to parks with the sapling.
I got lost in what the proposal is, to be honest with you.
We're asking the schools. Should I
And
sum
also,
it
I
up
think that the saplings should come from, I think that should be a big thing.
Yeah,
I
we
think
could
we
do
asked
it
Bloom.
we could do it as a Bloom thing if you
I
want.
think we asked Bloom, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much or how much the spend is up to, but there are delegated powers there, and I think that it's important.
It makes it easier. We could do it on the Bloom side of it, the tree side, and then just leave it for the coin side.
But if
Or
I
do-
could just add to it as well, add to the proposal that the Gillett's Field area, because you said about the 6 trees, I think personal trees and having an area up at Gillett's Field is my preference. So give the schools both options.
Would that also allow the kids to have the option of planting it at home if they do want to plant it at home?
Yeah.
And the remainder just gets planted?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle, would you like to reword that? Well, should we move the saplings to bloom with that plan there?
It depends if the schools were to come back and say that they all want the coins, that would be fine. If they came back and said actually they prefer the idea of the saplings and then it would probably be the best solution to what I think you're trying to come to is, what I think you're trying to pass a motion for is to basically offer both the idea of the saplings and the coins to the primary schools as two options, and see which options they wish to go for. If you wish to expedite it, if you're happy for it then to be delegated to me to then act upon the wishes of the schools, perhaps in consultation with, say, the chair and vice chair of this committee, then that could expedite the work.
Are the two mutually exclusive though? Saplings and coins?
Well, not necessarily. So if it's rather complicated. As in, if half the schools, say, for example, came back and said they wanted coins, then I would then have the delegated authority in consultation with yourselves to then be able to purchase those coins without it coming back to full council. If, say, the other half wanted saplings, then, for example, I'd have that delegated authority and in consultation with Bloom Committee to purchase those under the Bloom budget.
I can make it simpler than that.
Please, councillor.
If you leave it to Michelle or your idea of just doing the coins is a thing, and one sapling per school, which you said in the first place, with a plaque, then that school's got a plaque of a tree that's grown for the Jubilee and a coin for all the children in that school. That's the simple side of it. As regards to planting the thing in the Philip School, that can be done with hanging blue. So all the saplings that the whips or whatever the saplings can be planted out. So that's a separate thing, but it's still to do with the Jubilee, but it's done on the hanging bloom side.
I'm now confused as to whether there are 4 trees or 1,000 trees.
It's just a,
They could have it all. They
Yeah.
could have the coin and the tree to
Yeah.
each school. Or if they're not bothered about coins, we can go for full planting, or we could go for full planting and still have a tree at each school.
Yeah.
Can we not just turn around to them and say, would you like
What you
A,
want.
a coin,
Yeah.
B, a sapling for the school, C, individual
Yeah.
saplings, or D, all 3? There we are.
Exactly, yeah.
Who wants to second that?
I'll second it.
All those in favour? Let's go on.
So we going to call the school.
is that tree
Right,
things?
so
Hello.
we'll call them. Yeah, oh yeah.
So we still have 5.1 little 3 to recommend to the Finance Strategy and Management Committee that the budget of up to 10,000 to fund the Jubilee projects, events identified and ring-fenced, this sum to be held by TNC specifically for Platinum Jubilee as recommended at the events subcommittee meeting on 4th February 2022. Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favour?
The tree things.
Can I just say one more thing about the trees and then I'll be
You may,
quiet?
go on.
I do think, I know that the coins won't be going to Gillett's because that really would blow the budget, but I really do think they should have a chance of the saplings at Gillett's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely.
Make one point on that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Where the A rack is in Dillard's Field, and it's got a lot of bushes around that, like a U shape, so that protects it in the bad weather.
You went to see the hay rack then?
Yeah, I
The
think
hay
that
rack.
one has to stay. The point of a hay rack actually is so that
So you
the
can
wind
see-
blows through it and dries the hay. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's supposed to be exposed actually. Find a Okay, agenda item 9, town centre cleaning. To receive and note an update report from Wash Force regarding the cleaning of the town paving. Town clerk.
So this is just to note the report, however, just to keep the committee updated that we are still obtaining cost for the regrouting of Marketplace. We have 2 quotes in and are seeking a third, which will bring back as soon as possible. That will likely include a deep clean of the Marketplace, as well as the regrouting work. There's also a suggestion in the report regarding the sealing of stone. We've received mixed reviews about whether or not sealing is something that should or should not happen, and that's something that we're looking into further at the moment.
That's Hinton and then Egerton.
Councillor Arlett isn't on this committee, but as you know, he reads all agendas thoroughly. And with his expertise, he said that you can't grout the slabs because they should actually be pointed. So
Yeah,
you point
exactly.
like brickwork.
Yeah.
You may well grout around tiles, so this is the. And in his view, it needs a bricklayer, and preferably a local one, as we have a number of local bricklayers in the town who would be able to. That's all, I just wanted to pass that on, as it had been emailed earlier.
Yeah, that was annoying me when they keep saying about grouting. And I'm glad Ken's pulled it up. Because it is pointed when you're doing slabs and stuff like that. I think the damage has been done to the town centre of this slabs. You don't jet wash, and I've said this for many years about jet washing the town centre, cleaning it and scrubbing it and getting all the stuff off. You don't jet wash, because when you jet wash, you take the pigment, not only the pigment out of where you do it out of concrete slabs, but you also, with soft stone, you create little crevices in it. So the more you do it, the more crevices you create. So as soon as you get a downpour and mud and everything else, it goes into all those little crooks and crevices. But also, jet washing lifts up the pointing. That's why there's lots of pointing all gone. So if you didn't do the jet washing in the first place, you probably wouldn't be in this thing. If it was done properly in the first place, you wouldn't be thing. So sealing it would stop all the dirt, because what you've got is the little crevices, and the dirt sinks in it, and then it looks really dirty in some stones more than others. By putting the solution down, but it's only a temporary fix because the damage has been done there, you will seal that stone off for any dirt to go into those crevices. It's like a filler that's going into the top of it. So then the water just runs across and all the dirt washes away and goes down the drains. That would only be a temporary solution, but whether you want to keep doing that every year or whether you just want to keep things, but I would suggest stay away from jet washing. And I've got experience in this, and you can laugh about that. I've done a lot of bricklaying, and a lot of pointing over the years. And so I would say stay away from jet washing, clean it. And if you noticed, in some of the photographs what was in here, the chewing gum seems to be right round all the bins. So if it's all round the bins, why don't they just put it in the bin where it is? They seem to take it out and just chuck it around the bin. So if you've got chewing gum, there are bins around the town. It's not hard just to put a piece of chewing gum in the bin rather than dropping it on the pavement.
Madam Mayor.
Actually, Dave, just, I was going to mention chewing gum. Because it's, they clean it and then, it comes back again. Is there anything that we can do? Is there anything that we can do as a town to,
Put a small sign up by the bins, chewing gum bin.
it's,
Places it.
because it's a problem we've had for so long, we just, and I can't see, we can, the Henley Standard could report, put your gum in the bin, kids, but they won't. And I know we were thinking a few years, probably last year, about having these little pink things, weren't they?
I still don't think they put it in.
No, but
Because I have found recently some green and gold chewing gum bins. It's a little bit more tasteful than pink, and slightly more homely. But again, it's getting them empty from just the emptying is the problem, which you fill out with chewing gum, who's going to be the first to go around and empty them.
Otherwise you can end up with a sticky situation.
You certainly could, whether SMDC will take it on and empty the bins.
That was a hint and then right.
Sometimes you just have to sit here and think there's war going on somewhere in the world, and here we are. And on that note, I've seen in other towns, possibly abroad, that they have pictures of people that aren't very favourable in key places where chewing gum gets stuck, so that you can stick your chewing gum on their face. I don't know if there's anyone that we collectively dislike that much at the moment. I'm pretty sure we don't want to shower the town in pictures of Putin, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind sticking my gum to a photo of it.
Probably there'd be 16 councillors.
Yeah.
Henley's not alone about having a chewing gum problem. And in Ireland, there's a chewing gum tax. And the government imposes the tax, and they use that money to help clean pavements and other areas from chewing gum. And it's a shame that the government passes legislation which reduces our income and the ability to look after the marketplace instead of increasing our income, so we can keep the marketplace clean and tidy as we'd like to do.
Good point well made.
So maybe we should write to our MP.
Councillor Crick, and then Clara.
It is an ongoing problem because the minute this is clean, they're going to just stick it back down again, and it's like a never-ending circle. It's just, I don't know how you can encourage them to stop doing it because it's just a filthy habit.
It's a bit like graffiti, isn't it? It's just
Oh,
spreading
don't
like
get me started on
wildfire.
that.
That's not on the agenda.
I think if we found the culprit, then you don't picking up the graffiti, and then we won't be so keen to graffiti everywhere.
Okay, Councillor Clark.
It's what they done in Scotland, in Edinburgh and Glasgow, about chucking cigarette ends on the floor. They had wardens walking around,
£60. Fine.
catching them, £80 fine on the spot. Is that something you can suggest doing in Henley?
You're gonna have to employ somebody though to walk around watching people spit during
If
this all that.
they're making £2 or £3,000 a week,
PCSOs as well.
Yeah,
presumably.
yeah.
fine,
They don't do that.
that pays their wages.
No, they don't. You have something to add, Councillor Crick?
Yeah, also, if we're going to do the graffiti and the chewing gum, we should catch people that don't pick up after their dogs as well, because that is a bit of a problem. So that would be a good incentive. Perhaps we could get the parking people to do that, because they might
Yeah,
say no.
good luck with that.
I said that the parking people might be here a bit more often.
Too busy issuing tickets.
Right, thanks everybody. So there's nothing actually to decide on that one. That was just a procedure to note.
That's pending, put it in the pending tray.
Moving on to agenda item 10, progress reports. I'll just go down the list here. If anybody wants to comment, just raise your hand. Horrible Way Mural Street Art. Horrible Way road sign.
We can remove that now, can't we? Thanks to Councillor Hinton.
Thank you, yeah, well done.
So I think that can be removed. Okay, so that'll be not there this time.
Can we write to the, I don't think the association, but the Friendship League Association still exists. Several years long. But perhaps we could write to our equivalent in Barama and let them know the good news.
Well, we've spelled it correctly.
Yes.
That's a bit embarrassing.
Well, maybe, yes.
Taken to how many years? Who actually owns that?
Cinema.
I know.
No, there is.
Oh,
They
Waitrose.
actually- So they actually own the road, you know, they own the.
It's not a private road.
No.
It must be highway. So effectively, it's
Yeah.
it's the Highways Authority.
Okay.
I thought it was Waitrose, because Waitrose wouldn't be their thing unless.
Now, the district council's road sign is then, only be there if it was highway, I
Oh,
think.
So in refurbishment, I guess we're still waiting for the liners.
I can give you an update on that.
Can you please do?
Well, I did go round with Craig, but unfortunately we didn't write the report. I left before the report was written, so I spent 3.5 hours in the rain to know the report. But Nicky did manage to salvage a notepad on his desk and done some of it. I don't know whether it's all of it. I went round all the bins. Most of the bins have been painted because there was supposed to be a report on all this stuff, so that would have jogged my memory. But I went round every single bin, and there's a few 14 3/4 liners which are in the bottom of the bins, and I've come up with an idea. Unfortunately, there wasn't a picture, was there, for the stud plates on the top? But I sent some pictures. I can talk it through anyway. There was 14 3/4. So I measured all the bottoms of the bins. But rather, because I think they were about £35 each, the actual galvanised liners, and it would be cheaper to buy a tin plate to put in the bottom. So the bins are quite solid. It's just the bottom's gone out the bottom. So if you put a tin plate or an aluminium plate, which lasts a lot longer, all you have to do, that plate will last probably 4 times as long as the bin would. And you just put steel bolts, stainless steel bolts in the bottom of the bin, so you drill 4 holes, drop the plate in. So that's a flexible plate. So any liquids will then run through so it doesn't lock the bottom bin out, and aluminium takes a little bit longer. The, so I looked at all the bins, some of them that have been painted haven't been neutralised, so basically what I'm saying is the aluminium it corrodes with salt when you put the salts in the pavement, and if it's not neutralised and you paint over the top of it, then it will come back through, which it has done. So these were painted in October, so some of the bins are corroding around the bottom of the bins already, and it's flaking off. So that needs to come off and be neutralised before you can repaint them as green. So all the bins are all measuring at 11.75. So I think this person's going to come back with a quotation. I don't know whether he hasn't. No. I can chase that up. With a quotation for that thing. So obviously I think you need 3 quotes anyway, but this was just an idea for them. We've got the plates and he's going to send a quotation, so they're probably, if we can get someone else to do the other 2 quotes, it would be good. On the other ones, I asked, he just went ahead and stuck to on the top of the last 2 bins that we were waiting to come back. I asked him if he could do some stub plates, some aluminium stub plates that could be stuck to the top of the bins. He fixed them to the bins. I didn't ask him to fix them to the bins, but he thought he was doing us a favour. Didn't charge for them. So they're about the size of this, and they're right in the centre of the bin. So they can be taken off. They're a small little screw, which hasn't done any damage to the bin.
Which bins are they fitted to at the moment?
There's 2 that
They're at the depot at the
they're at the
moment.
depot.
Oh, they're not installed.
No, they will be installed at, because they come back like the gold paint on them, so James is going to put the gold paint on
Right,
them
okay.
for us. And they will be put outside, one outside Robert Dyers and the other down on the slipway, by the bench on the slipway.
Okay.
They're
And then-
two that are missing from
And then we got, I don't know what state they're in because I couldn't see them from where there is 4 other cast iron bins down at the depot which haven't been painted. So I think they're in good nick. If they are, then all they need is repainting, and then we can relocate one of those back onto the bottom end of Friday Street, which is there's one more got broken
On
now.
that wide paper.
Yeah, on that white paper. So there is a report of these. I think Nicky would send it to all councils if they want it. It tells you all the sizes and things. So if that was agreeable to make these plates rather than replace them, or see which the options is, whether we buy the liners for the bins or whether we go for the refurbishing of the inner liners, and then put these plates in the bottom and these stub plates on the top. They're only small stub plates. They can either be glued or be fixed, drilled and fixed. And I can send that to Sheldon as well.
Thank you, please do. So the last item on progress reports is been removed from the progress reports as well. So that brings